So hi guys, my name is Raja Abhishek Jain and I'm an enterprise agile coach having 2 decades of experience, more than 2 decades of experience in IT coaching and consulting. I'm a certified safe coach and trainer and currently working as an enterprise agile coach as I told you. And I also take safe classes, official safe classes. So today my topic is PI planning and this is for Scrum Master. So the heartbeat of the SAFE is the PI planning. How we do the PI planning in SAFE. That is the heart. The PI planning is the heartbeat of SAFE. And I'm going to tell you about PI planning from the Scrum Master perspective, what a Scrum Master has to do into the PI planning. So as you know, I mean, most of you have worked into the agile environment, and most of you have been familiar with, Scrum, XP, and Kanban. But when it comes about many teams, if you have to work with many teams, for example, 6 to 8 teams minimum, or there may be 50 teams, 100 teams, so you need a framework which can be scaled. I mean, the agile framework should be scaled, and that's what the SAFe does. So SAFe is the scaled agile framework which make your agile at the scale level. So if there are more teams planning together, how it can be done and how it can be managed, all those comes into the scale agile framework or SAFe. So today we are covering the topic of PI planning from Scrum Master perspective. And please everybody go on mute. And I will also show you a tool which is piplanning.io, where you can do all the PI planning activity and you will enjoy looking at that tool and learning that tool also. But before that, we need some theory about PI planning. So let's start with that. So before that, I'll show you one video and let me know if you are able to hear the voice. So the people who have worked on SAFe, what is their experience working on SAFe? This video talks about. Are you able to hear the voice?
No, Raja, you may want, when you're sharing the screen, you may want to share the audio also. So you may want to reshare the screen. And when you reshare the screen, you'll get an option, share system audio.
Share sound.
So click on that green button, share screen. And on the right side, you'll get a share system audio or something like that.
Yeah.
Planning a year
Are you
ago
able to
to
hear?
the PI planning that we're in now,
Yes.
which is PI 6. The evolution from the first PI planning a year ago to the PI planning that we're in now, which is PI 6, has changed dramatically. Both enjoyable experiences, but everybody kind of running around like headless chickens, quite nervous in that first PI. And now we seem to be like a well-oiled engine.
It's been probably the most fundamental change for our commercial teams. Our commercial teams never had the opportunities to get in front of the engineers. There was always multiple layers in between there. Having this process where every 10 weeks we've got a business owner who's saying, hey, thank you team for what you delivered last time. Here's what it drove. And hey, here's what we're hearing from our customers about what we need. This is why it's a priority. And when we actually deliver this, here's the value that it's going to drive to them and us.
The teams are so much more confident in their planning. We do things a lot earlier. We collaborate more effectively across the teams and across product management and the dev teams, so that when we come into PI planning, the teams have a good idea of what they're going to take on in their individual teams.
We had our business owners come to us and say, look, I know that we have all these commitments, but one of our primary customers has asked us to make a change. We said, okay, what are we taking off the plate of the teams? Because we can't do it all. And SAFe tells us we can't do it all. They agreed that there was work that could be removed. We went back to the teams. And when we told the teams, A, you're going to get started on this, go ahead, we're good to go. B, you're going to remove X off of your plate. They looked at us and they were like, wait, what? We don't have to do it all? The team was able to deliver the new requirement in less time than they had estimated it. And they didn't have to work overtime, and they didn't have to work long hours. And the success of that and how it motivated the team and the appreciation that they felt at having been heard and understood was off the charts, and it was amazing.
Okay. So just this video talks about the people experience of SAFe, what they have experienced while working on SAFe. But what is SAFe and what is PI planning, that we have not yet discussed. So let's look at it. Okay. So, Anand, I'm seeing this bar over my head. How to get rid of this bar?
That is sharing the screen, but that's completely fine. We are able to see the right content.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so what is the PI planning and what is the role of Scrum Master? So let's understand first what is the PI planning. So PI planning is basically a cadence-based event. When I say cadence-based event, it means it's a rhythmic event which happens in a particular time and at a particular frequency. So that is called the cadence-based event. That serves as the heartbeat of Agile release train. So it is the heartbeat of SAFe or heartbeat of Agile release train. This Agile release train or ART means a team of teams. So for example, if 6 to 8 teams or maybe any number of teams are working together and they form kind of a train, which where each team is a bogie and they are all working together and they are all moving together. So that's why they are called train. And since they release the value, that's the word release is used. So Agile release train is nothing but a cross-functional team of teams. In Scrum, you know, the team should be cross-functional, but here it should be the cross-functional team of teams, which is Agile release train. So planning interval or PI planning is a cadence-based event which serves as the heartbeat of Agile release train, aligning all team onto the art to a shared mission and vision. So all the teams comes together towards a common mission and common vision, and they all work together and plan together. So what they do for the entire 2 days, they do the planning all together for the duration of 8 to 12 weeks of work. 10 weeks is a typical work. So when I say 8 to 12 weeks, and if I consider 2 weeks as iteration, then it means it's 4 to 6 iteration or 4 to 6 sprint. Sprint and iteration are nothing but the same thing. So 2-day planning happens for the duration of the work of 8 to 12 weeks. Everybody plans together. Let me take a little bullet here. Everybody plans together. Product management owns the feature priority. So where we have different teams in SAFe environment. So for example, at the Scrum level, we are not scrapping anything from the Scrum here, but we are scaling the Scrum. You know that the Scrum Master, Product Owner, and Development team is there in Agile framework or Scrum framework. While we go one level up to the Product Owner level, there is a product management. Product management is a group of people who actually owns the feature priorities into the PI planning. That is one level up to the product owner. There it comes the product management who owns the feature priorities. Which feature has to done first, which feature has to done later. Development teams own the story planning and high level estimates. So it's up to it is same as Agile environment or Scrum environment. Development teams have to own their story planning and the estimations that development team has to do. System architect and user experience. So there are different roles in SAFe, like system architects, user experience people. They work as intermediaries for governance, interface, and dependency. So they circulate together, and they work with all the teams and share their time with all the teams and help them in terms of providing the system architecture or the user experience that is required for the work. Any question here? So far? No question? Okay. So before going to the PI planning, I want to discuss some benefits of the PI planning. So since all the teams come together and plan together, it establishes a personal communication across all the team members and stakeholders, because most of the time it is either a co-located meeting, or even if it is web-based, then you can see each other's face. So the personal communications becomes better because all the people, all the teams plan together. Aligning development to the business goals with the business context, because business people are also present, development people are also present. So you can align onto the business context, onto the vision, and to the team or art PI objective. I'll come to the PI objective. What is PI objective? But I hope you are comfortable with the term art now, which is agile release train. You can see as you can in the waterfall method, you can understand it. Please everybody go on mute. In waterfall environment, you can understand it as a program, but in a SAFe environment, it is called a art. It is much different than the program, but you can relate. Identifying dependencies and fostering cross-team and cross-art collaboration. So it is the opportunity where different teams come together and they can identify each other's dependency. If I'm doing this work in iteration 2, you do this work in iteration 3. So alignment can happen, and cross-team and cross-art collaboration that happens because everybody is planning together. Providing the opportunity for just right amount of architecture and lean-based guidance. So SAFe says, please everybody go on mute. So SAFe says that don't work, don't make entire architecture all together, all the design, all the architecture, don't make it. Just create the right amount of architecture, which is good enough to start the work or whatever the feature you are doing that can consume that architecture. And as we move forward, then we may create more architecture. So this is the philosophy of SAFe. Matching demand to capacity. PI planning is opportunity where you can see what is your demand and how much is your capacity. Are you able to match the demand to capacity? And eliminate the access work in process, which is WIP. Work in process is nothing but the WIP. It's a big topic, but I am just touching it here. Work in process means whatever work you are doing should be limited. If you are doing too much work at the same time, you will not be able to complete many things, and many things will obsolete with the time and will become waste. So if you have to have the lean process, it means reducing the waste. Then you have to limit the work in process. And it also enables the fast decision making because you can take the decentralized decisions at your level. So these are some benefits of PI planning. Any question here so far? Okay. So in the PI planning process, what is the inputs and what is the outputs? So before PI planning, you should be ready with your vision. Vision means a future state of the product, which is it is called vision, and top 10 features, which is an art backlog. Art backlog is nothing but a backlog which is one level up to the team backlog. You are aware of the team backlog that you maintain in your Scrum. Art backlog is the art level backlog or the program level backlog, where all the teams backlog is consolidated together and high level features are kept. So from there you have to pick up the top 10 features. When I say top 10 feature, it should not be exactly top 10. It can be little less than 10 or it can be little more than 10 also. But the top 10 feature is the good approximation that you should start having it refined and ready for the PI planning process. And as output, what you get the team and art PI objectives and art planning board. I'm going to tell you about PI objectives, and also I will show you how the art planning board looks when we will discuss the PI planning.io tool. So PI objectives. What are the PI objectives? PI objectives are the business summaries of what each team intends to deliver in upcoming PI. Okay, so you're planning some work, you're planning 4 to 6 iteration of works, 8 to 12 weeks of work, whatever you want to select. So you're almost planning for 2 to 3 months of work. So whatever goals you want to achieve, those goals are called PI objectives, which is written in a business summary format, which can be understood both by the business owners and also by the developers, and which should make sense for both of them. Those are called the PI objectives. But how to write them? Objectives are often related to the intended features into the backlog. So whatever PI objectives you write, it basically directly relates to the features which are present in your backlog. For example, aggregation of a set of features can be a PI objective. A single feature itself can convey a PI objective. A milestone can be a PI objective. Enabler functions which support the feature, that can also be a PI objective. Or major refactoring work is also a PI objective. So it is the goals for your PI, which is called PI objectives. Some examples are given here. Any questions on PI objective?
What is BV and AV?
Yeah, so BV is the business value and AV is the actual value. So business value is something that during the PI planning, I will show you also. During the PI planning, business owners decide what is the business value that these features has. And at the end of the PI, they actually calculate how much is the actual value that we have achieved. So BV is the business value and AV is the actual value.
Hi Raja, if there is BAU activities or technical debt, which you call refactoring also sometimes, so those can also be part of your business objective?
Yes, so if you have a technical debt or you are doing some refactoring or you are doing some enabler, as I told you, enabler is a term which is where you support, which are the kind of a feature which supports the delivery features. They don't go into the directly into the customer product, but they support the features which will go into the product. So enablers or refactoring, that can also, you can write it as a objective which you can cover it for in the entire PI at the PI level. So it is different from the sprint goal or iteration goal, which is confined for a one iteration or one sprint. It is for the entire PI. So you have to consider it for the PI level.
And how to estimate or how to accommodate the innovation work, or I can say the work which you call investigation, because maybe all the PIs are not all the stories may not be clear as of now for the next 3 months. So how to accommodate those?
Yeah. So if you have 12 weeks of PI, it means 6 iterations. Every iteration is 2 weeks iteration. Then what we do, five iterations we plan for delivering the value, and last iteration we plan for the innovation and planning. So in innovation and planning, we accommodate for PI planning also, leftover work also, innovations also, trainings needs also, inspect and adapt workshop also. So that 2 weeks is a busy agenda. And you can do a lot of things in 2 weeks, but you will not deliver anything in that week. That is non-deliverable sprint, and that is called the innovation and planning sprint. So that happens after every 5 iterations. If you have a 6 iteration of the PI.
So does it not hamper the continuous delivery to the customer?
See, if you have to do the innovation, you need the time and space for the innovation. You can't expect people to do the innovation and at the same time they are working also, they're delivering also, and you ask the guys why you don't do the innovation. Innovation needs time and space. You have to provide the time, you have to provide the space for innovation. You have to also provide the guard band so that your PI planning should happen at the same time every 3 months. So there are unknowns, there are uncertainties are there. So there are work which can require more time because you're spilling it over. So you need some time to complete that work also. So you need a guard band also. So there are many aspects of having IP iteration.
Okay.
It makes your quality better and it makes your commitment more prudent.
So apart from that, the burnout of the resources also being taken care, right? If they want, they can
Yes.
take the offs and all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
One question on that IP. For example, till 5 iterations, we have done whatever we can, but still there are few works left out, and that can be taken care into another 3 days, 4 days of that 6 iteration or the IP iteration. If that gets done, then it will be considered into that PI, or it will move cause you're saying that we will be not delivering anything, then it will spill over to next PI.
See, if things can be completed in 3-4 days, accommodate into the IP iteration and finish it off. But if you think that this work has discovered a lot of other work and a lot of new scenarios have come up, and you need at least 1 or 2 iteration to complete it, then upfront say that you're not able to deliver this feature, and this feature will spill over to the next PI. So you will deliver that much part of the functionality, and the part 2 will be into the next PI that you can manage it. But if it's a small work, 3-4 days work, and you can complete, then of course you can cover it in IP iteration.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. So here
Raja,
yeah.
just to add Nitish this side.
The voice is breaking.
Yeah, I mean, on your points, like I have also seen like what in team, what team used to do is like whatever pending work was for the first 4 sprint, the plan was like 4 iteration is gone, and then the 5th
Voice is breaking. Nilesh, your
iteration
voice is
was IP.
breaking.
Okay, since you work or if
Sorry.
there is something which is still not done. Yeah.
I'm
Hello.
not able to hear you. I'm not able
I'm
to hear
audible.
you. Yeah. Nitesh, yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Priyanka.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, Priyanka.
Yeah. Here the thing is like, and when we are doing the backlog refinement in the IP Notion, can we do or like other than any other separate?
Backlog refinement happens throughout the iterations, throughout the PI. So there is no schedule for that. Anytime, anywhere, and any number of frequency, whatever is required, you can do the backlog refinement.
Okay.
It's a continuous process.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so moving to the next slide, and in this slide you didn't ask question on uncommitted objective, but I'll cover it into the next slide. So what are uncommitted objectives? These are some interesting things. So uncommitted objectives are planned well, but they are not the extra thing you do just in case you have the time. So why they are called uncommitted? They are called uncommitted because they're not included into the commitment and thereby making commitment more reliable. But how they're making it? If a team has low confidence in meeting a PI objective, it should be moved to uncommitted. So if you have an item, if you have a PI objective where you think that you still can do it, but it has a lot of risk, it has a lot of uncertainty, and you're not sure whether you can deliver it or not. But you definitely need time to do it. So when you have time, you need time to do it. So it is counted when you're calculating the load versus the capacity. When you're calculating the load, you count that work. Okay, 20% of the capacity of the PI will go for this uncommitted objectives. But you are not committing it that I am going to deliver it. So one way you are taking it into the work that you are doing, but you are not committing it. So by this you are increasing the predictability of the work that you can deliver. So you're better able to commit to the business that you are going to deliver this, but still you are not doing the extra thing. You are taking the time for doing that work, but you are not committing it. That is called uncommitted objectives, which is calculated into the load, but they are not the just extra thing that you have to do. People previously, what people used to do the mistake when they are under uncertainty, they still take the work, and later they don't have time to do it even when the clarity comes. But since they have taken the extra load, so they suffer. So you have to plan the work, plan the time for that, but in calculating the load, but don't commit it. That is uncommitted objective. So when you're writing your PI objective, maybe 6 to 8 PI objectives you may write. So 1 or 2 may be just uncommitted objectives, which you can do, but you are not committing it to the business that you will deliver. Any question? Okay.
So for uncommitted objectives, the estimation will be done, or
Estimation
it will be kept
will be
up.
done, of course. It will be done because you're taking into the load. So estimations will be done. You will do the estimations. Okay. So outcomes of the PI planning. The communication, the better communication, you're able to estimate the capacity, you're able to draft your PA objective, and you're able to manage your risks. So we'll discuss all these things. We have not yet started the PI planning. This is for the PI planning simulation, which we are not doing here. It requires at least 45 minutes to 1 hour, which we do into the original safe, leading safe or other safe courses. We play this simulation where you actually perform the PI planning yourself and get the confidence of doing the PI planning. But I'm not going to that level because we have time constraints. So I'm just going through the PI planning. So what is the agenda of the PI planning? So this is the day 1 agenda. It starts with the business context. Business people provide their vision for the business. After that, there is a product and solution vision is presented by the product management, and the prioritized feature list is provided. What is their priority? Architect people will provide their vision, what agile tooling they want to use, what common frameworks, engineering practices, etc. they want to use. Then there is a planning context, which is provided by RTE. RTE is the release train engineer, and that is also called Chief Scrum Master or the Scrum Master of the Scrum Masters. So Scrum Master is at the team level, but at the art level, there should be one person who can coordinate all the teams, all the Scrum Masters. That is called RTE or Chief Scrum Master. That is the RTE role, which is one level up to the Scrum Master. So he facilitates and explains that what are we going to for the next 1.5 day, and explain the process of what you need to do. So he explained that, and all these 4 activity happens with all the teams together. Everybody is together. Now, what is the Scrum Master role comes? When you come to the team breakouts, you all get separated. You all get into your own teams. You are all moved away from each other. You are with your teams and you come into the team breakouts. So this is the time where Scrum Master role becomes important, because here you have to drive the things. So team breakouts is the Scrum Master area where Scrum Master will be with his team. So what he will do? So Scrum Master will enable teams to develop draft plans and identify risk and impediments. Architecture and product managers circulate amongst the team and help each other. We will discuss more detail in team breakouts. I'm just giving you the agenda here. Here the Scrum Master role is more important. After that draft plan review, teams again will come back. They will present their draft plan. They're still not presenting their final plans. They're presenting their draft plans, risk, and what are the impediments that they have. After that, there is a management review and problem solving meeting happens. There is a few number of people which is related to management or higher management level. They do the review and they do the adjustment based on whatever they have learned throughout the day. What are the challenges, risks, and impediments, what they learn. We'll discuss all these things and then it concludes the day. Second day starts with planning adjustment. The management will come and tell you that what adjustment they have done to the planning based on the plan review. Then again, there is a team breakout. This is the second team breakout. The Scrum Master will go again back with their teams, and there the teams develop the final plans and refine their risk and impediments. First team breakout, you identified the risk and impediments. Now you will refine your risk and impediments based on to what you learned together now. And business owners circulate with all the teams and they assign the business value. Somebody asked me what is BV. The business owner assign the business value to the team objective or team PI objective. After that final plan review and lunch, teams again come together forming the complete group. They present their final plans, final risk and impediments to the entire audience. Then after that, RPI risk session happened. RPI risk means you have identified the risk at your team level, but what is at the cross team level, or what is at the art level or agile release train level or the program level, what are the risks? So those risks are discussed and roamed. What is the roaming risk? We will discuss that. After that, PI confidence vote is taken. People do the vote, whether they are confident about the planning or not. If they are not, then planning continues until the confidence is achieved. And after that, planning retrospective happens and people move forward. So retrospective happens for the last 2 days, how it went. So that retrospective happens and then you move forward for the PI execution and you start the work. So this is the 2-day agenda. We'll discuss all these things in detail, but this is the 2-day agenda. Any question here?
Like this 2 days agenda, Abhishek will start in the beginning of PI planning, I believe, and 2 consecutive days. Is it or how it is planned generally?
Beginning of PI plan. This
Because it is
is the planning event.
Okay.
2 days planning event for the 12 weeks of work or 8 weeks of work. This is the planning event. PI planning is a planning event for doing the work for 8 weeks or 12 weeks together, all the team.
Okay, fine.
Hi, Abhishek. I have a question here. Am I audible?
Yeah.
So, in my current project, we had a 3-day PI planning this week, starting from Monday till Wednesday. So, do you think that's an anti-pattern?
No,
All
that is
the
not an anti-pattern because
all
sometimes
the
what happens, you have distributed teams. Some teams in US time zone, some teams in UK time zone. So maybe you can plan for 4 hours a day or 6 hours a day. You cannot plan for 8 hours a day. So
actually, it's not. Our project is
planning may go
actually
up to
working
3 days. Sometimes it can go to 5 days also.
No, actually, our team is working
Hello, your
on
voice
in
is.
CET, that is Central European Time. Yeah. Can you hear me,
Yeah. So that's
Abhishek?
why you don't have, yeah. So that's why you
So
don't have,
actually,
you have the overlapping times. So you have the overlapping time. That is perfectly fine. In the virtual mode, you can plan for 3 days or 4 days or 5 days also.
no, actually, that was not my question. My question is, uh, my current project team is actually working in CET time zone. Those who are working from onshore, so they are a Central European client. So my concern is, do you think that if the PI planning is spread across 3 days, one day is wasted, and we are not promoting lean thinking?
No. No.
Okay.
It is not an anti-pattern. It is basically it gives you a time to learn more, and it gives you the time to do, and you can plan in a much better way, and yeah,
Okay.
it is
Another
useful.
question. Okay. Another question. Okay. Okay. No worries.
Yeah. What is the question?
Yeah, actually, what I was just wondering too, there are multiple meetings that take place during the PI planning that actually takes place outside PI planning as a part of SAFe framework, that is like Scrum of Scrums, PO Sync, etc. Do you think that they should be a part of the PI planning day one or day two, before and after draft plan review?
Scrum is a part of PA planning. We will cover that also. I mean, you're not seeing in this high level agenda, but Scrum also happens, in between the team breakouts, and that is also part of PA planning.
Okay. No, my question was, do you think that if we include PO Sync and Scrum of Scrums, do you think that they might take up uh, any one of the day's timings, so that the
No, it
planning might
helps
get
you.
impacted?
It helps you because when you have to solve your dependencies, you have to talk to other teams. When you have to work on impediments, you have to talk to other teams. When you need a scope clarity, you need to talk to product owner or product management. So that helps. That is added. That is added advantage.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So this is not the hardwired agenda. This is the agenda given to you. You can tailor it, and you can add more things to it.
Hi Raja, just continue of this question. Suppose on the second day, usually the peer planning will be taken 2 days, right? So end of the second day, the feedback will be taken from all the teams, all the art teams, right? So if they are not satisfied, right, if they did not understood well about the business value, so they if they give less than 3, then again it will be extended to the third day. Is that correct?
Yes, it should be. It should be. Until the
Yeah.
confidence is made, there is no point of doing the PA planning. You are wasting your 2 days. So instead of doing that, if the team feels that the confidence vote is 1 or 2 and people are not feeling confident about work, then have more team breakout sessions and more reviews. And then when the confidence is reached, then only you conclude your PA planning.
Okay, so it will be extended to one more day.
Of course, you can have 5 days also. I worked for the Shell projects, and their PA planning happens sometimes for 4 days and sometimes for 5 days also. So this is the
Okay.
standard agenda, but the reality is stranger than fiction.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, so let's look at all these aspects one by one. So the briefings provided by business executives, product manager, and system architects. I'm not going in that details because when you do the PI planning, you will hear from them in your context, the context which you are working. Okay, so the three main roles, product owners, Scrum Master, and Agile team remains the same at the team level. There is no change to them. Product owners have the content authority, Scrum Master responsibility to manage the time box, dependencies, and ambiguities. And the Agile team has the responsibility to define user stories, plan them into the iteration, and work out the interdependency with other teams. So all that should happen during the team breakouts. So here we are talking about uh, we talked about 6 iterations, where one is the IP iteration. So in this particular simulation example, we are considering only the 2 iteration. Simulation, you cannot plan for all the 5 iterations because we have limited time. So here we are considering, suppose there is a PI and it has 2 iterations only, iteration 1 and iteration 2. So how to plan that? Each team should select a feature from product management. So product management present the feature priorities. So before going to the your breakout rooms, select the features from the product management, what you want to do, feature or features. Ensure the information is visible so it can be referred to during the PI planning simulation. So when you do the simulation, you have to select which feature you have to do, and you understand that. This is how the velocity is determined. So suppose you have in the practical scenario, you have worked for 6 iterations and you have delivered 180 story points. So your velocity will become the average of them, which is 30 story points iterations. This is how the velocity you should create. But if you don't know, if you don't have the historical data, how to do that? So this is the method of calculating the capacity. For calculating the capacity, consider there is a 2 weeks sprint. 2 weeks sprint means 10 days of work. Each day you earn 1 point. So you earn 10 point. 10 point per iteration per person. But since you have basically the safe events, Scrum events, other meetings, and other time off, so consider that 2 points went into all those things. So you have 8 points. So for every full-time Agile team members, give them the 8 points. Okay, and if it is a part-time team members, then adjust it accordingly. Subtract 1 point for every team member, vacation day and holiday. If there is a vacation day or holiday, subtract 1 point. Assign 1 point to a story. This is important. Assign 1 point to a story that would take about half a day to develop and a half a day to test and validate. Estimate every other story related to that one. So consider a story which you can completely develop in half day and the half day you take for testing and validating. It means completing one story in 1 day. Consider some story like that and give it a 1 point. If it is a bigger story which can be completed in 2 days, give them the 2 points. If it is completed in 3 days, give them the 3 point. And if it is bigger than that, then I directly give them the 5 point, and then the 8 point, then the 13 points. That is the Fibonacci series logic that we used to do the capacity in Scrum environment also. So the same applies here also. So this way you calculate your capacity. Any questions on calculating the capacity? An example is also given here into the slide. Because for the PI planning, when you start, you have to basically give the estimation, your capacity. Okay. I think you understood, or maybe you have worked with them with it before also. So here are the activities that where the Scrum Master needs to coordinate, and this is the outcome of what workshop we are doing it today. So we are planning for a short PI with 2 iteration with your teams. What you have to do, calculate and enter the capacity for each iteration. We'll see into the PIplanning.io tool in just a few minutes, just 15 minutes. We'll see how to do that. So calculate and enter the capacity for each iteration. 2 weeks is per iteration. The first iteration starts on Monday, for example, as you can assume that, or use your real availability whenever you want to start it. Estimate the stories using the story points. Okay, so all the features you have considered the features. Now you will create the stories, or you already have created some of the stories. Calculate, estimate those stories using the story points. Load those stories into the iterations. So you have to load those stories into the iteration until the iteration becomes full. Write the PI objective using clear statements. Okay, after that you have to write the PI objectives, identify uncommitted objectives, identify art risk and dependencies. So all these things you have to do into the breakout room, and this is what Scrum Master has to facilitate. In between, you can go into the Scrum of Scrums, discuss with RT, what is the progress of your breakouts. All those things can happen simultaneously, or you can have PO sync to understand more clarity onto the contents or scope, and that also can happen. And you can discuss your impediments and dependencies with other teams. That also can happen in between. So that's why sometimes you need more time and more breakouts and more day off. between the PI planning. So this is what Scrum Master has to facilitate. Any question here?
Yeah, Raj, one question. So do we need to have objective first before loading the stories, or ideally?
First load the stories, then you will understand what is your objective. Because once you have your features, when you have your stories estimated, everything you will do together, then your mind is prepared. Okay, this out of this is my business summary. This is the PI objective I want to achieve.
So basically, we'll decide our goal for later once we load the stories, and
Yes.
then we'll decide our goal.
Yes. Then you will come to your goals.
Okay.
Same as you do into the your sprint planning. At last you come to the sprint goals. Sprint goal or a sprint goals you come at. Similarly, for the PI planning, after loading all the stories into the iteration, you have come to your PI objectives at the PI level.
So Abhishek, I have a question here.
Mm-hmm.
So for step number 3, it is mentioned that we need to load the stories into the iterations. So does that mean that for a 10-week PI or for a 12-week PI for 4+1 configuration or 5+1 configuration, we need to tag all the user stories against all the iterations?
So
Why
what
I'm asking
happens?
why I'm asking
I'll
this
tell you.
because we don't
I'm
know, right?
asking your question.
Yeah.
I am understanding your question before you're asking. I'll answer that. See, you don't know all the work which can be planned for so long duration. For 2 months duration, 3 months duration, you cannot plan all the work, right? But you can plan at least 2 iteration or 3 iteration. 2 iteration or 3 iteration, clearly you can plan. You have the opportunity of iteration planning or sprint planning after the PI planning also, where you can do the refinement to whatever you have planned at the your iteration planning or sprint planning level. That second level also you have. But the agenda of PI planning is to have a high level planning. So try to load 2 to 3 iterations completely, or maybe 80-90%, and last 2 iterations maybe fuzzy. So you can say that I need more clarity, and over the time I will gain it, and I will provide the more clarity to last few iterations. So of course that you can do that, and you have to do that only, right? That is your question.
Yeah. Okay. Because we don't know how the unknowns will become knowns in the upcoming times, and also if any incidents or any service now tickets come up by, then along with spillover items, then the prioritized items might change. Okay.
Yes. So plan for the 2 to 3 iterations, and maybe the 2 iteration may be fuzzy. So you can push the work across the iterations and adjust your tickets and other unknowns and uncertainties. This is high level planning you are doing. You will still do the iteration planning, sprint planning. You will still do that, and you are still from your iteration goals aligned with the PI objective, and you still do all those things. Any moment of time, if you think that PI objectives cannot be made, directly communicate to the management. PI objectives cannot be made, or some part of it will be made, and some part of it will be would go to the next PI and agreed the scope or whatever adjustment is required. That happened during the PI execution. Okay. So as I told you, you can have code syncs in between. And in the simulation, we observe the code sync also, how the code sync happen. All the team observed that. Okay. So this slide is on that. And these are the questions during the code sync, or code sync is nothing but the Scrum event. Now it is called code sync, where RT is present, and he will ask you questions like that. Have you identified the capacity of each iterations of the PI? Have you identified most of the stories for first 2 iterations after beginning estimation? Have you begun resolving dependency with other teams? Are you discussed trade-offs and conflicting priorities with your business owners? Have you identified any art PI risk? Art PI risk means program level risk. You have identified your team risk, but have you identified any program level risk or art level risk? Will you be ready to start writing PI objective in next 15 minutes? Is there anything you need to discuss with other Scrum Master or team coaches? If so, stay for the meet after. You can have meet after also. So all those things happens in parallel also. So PI planning is not just one thread which is going on. There are multiple threads which is going on. It's about code sync. So draft plan review, as I told you, team will present summaries of first two iterations because in the simulation we are planning first two iterations and one or more draft PI objective. Okay, make sure to include the following thing. You have to calculate your capacity, load for each iteration, draft PI objective, RPI risk and impediments that we have discussed. Management review, as I told you, at the end of the day, management meets, the high level people, the high level stakeholders meet, and they discuss what they learn, where they need to adjust vision, scope, team assignments, or anything else. What are the bottlenecks we have? What feature must be de-scoped? What decision must be made between now and tomorrow? So since you already have presented the draft plan review here with all the audience together, management has learned something and they will take some decision, which they will tell you next day into the planning adjustment. So whatever they learn, they will take adjust the business priority, visions, change to the scopes, and realign the work and the team. So the team reassignment is also possible. Okay, so they may also say that some team members will go to this team, some team member will stay here. They can change the scope also. They can change the adjustment of the visions is possible. The priorities, decisions can be possible. Anything is possible. So that is the input for your second breakout. So whatever you know, whatever the knowledge you have, and after the good night's sleep, you work onto the final plans. In the second team breakout, business owner circulate to all the teams and they assign the business value of the PI objectives. This is like the business value from 1 to 10, they assign. Even the uncommitted objective, they assign the values because if they can be completed, they count. Team finalize their PI planning, PI plan, and they also consolidated art level risk, impediments and dependencies. Uncommitted objectives provide the capacity and guard band needed to increase the reliability of cadence-based delivery. So you have uncommitted objective. So you say that I'm taking the capacity, but I'm not committing it. So I'm increasing the predictability of what I deliver. That we discussed. We already have discussed all these things. So this is kind of a art planning board which is made after all these discussions. During the final plan review or before that, this is what your art board looks like, and I will give you the piplanning.io that how you can do that, how you can create such boards where you can have the dependency mapped or you have such relationship. I will show you that. Just give me a minute, my battery is low. Okay. So final plan review. Again, changes to the capacity and load. Whatever you have learned, you want to change your capacity, you want to change your load because management has changed something, so you will also change. Finally, you will make your PI objectives, the final round of the writing PI objectives with business value, art PI risk and impediments. You have to not only able to identify team level risk, you have to identify the art of program level risk and impediments also, and that you have to communicate into the final plan after the second breakout. So final plans are reviewed by all teams. Business owners asked whether they accept the plan. If yes, if business owners say yes, the plan is accepted. If not, then the plan is stay in place and the planning is continued. Any question till here? After that, I'll cover 2 or 3 more slides. Okay. So after that, one important activity comes, which is called addressing PI risk, and how PI risk are addressed. We do the roaming of the risk. So what is the roaming of the risk? You see this word ROAM, ROAM, it means resolved, owned, accepted, and mitigated. That is called ROAM, roaming of the risk. So what is roaming of the risk? If there is a risk which is no longer a concern or already addressed, so you say it resolved. If someone has become the owner of a owner or take the responsibility of a risk, that will become owned. If nothing can be done for this risk and if it occurs, release has to be compromised or whatever compromise is required you have to do, then you simply accept that risk. And the fourth, and which is the most important thing that you have to do in risk management, is to mitigate the risk. The team has to adjust the plan, or team has to reduce the effect of the risk. That is called mitigation of risk. So this is the most important thing that you have to do during the rolling risk. Because resolving, owning, accepting are the simple thing, but how you mitigate the risk or how you reduce the impact of the risk, that is the risk management that you have to do or you have to learn how to do that. So your RTs and your product management, the high level people help you in doing that. So that's why you roam the risk. Confidence vote is given here. So you have to 1 to 5 at the scale of 1 to 5, you have to provide a confidence vote. What do you think about the PI planning and whether the plans are all valid and can be achievable, realistic? So if you get the rating of 1 or 2, it means plans are not accepted. 3 is average, but mostly you should get the rating of 4 to 5, which says that yes, the plan is good and we can go ahead with this plan for the next 8 or 12 weeks. 8 to 12 weeks. Somebody was asking something. Okay, and the last thing is the retrospective. So you conduct a retrospective for the 2 days, last 2 days only. Retrospective, not for the last PI, but the retrospective for the last 2 days. Last 2 days. What went well, what didn't, and how we can plan better next time. So PA planning evolve over time and ending with the retrospective help continuously improve it. So this is how the PI planning is all about. Any questions?
Raja, one question from me, Nitesh this side. Just wanted to check, like in safe, epic and feature, we consider it as same, right?
No, epics are different and features are different. Features is a stakeholder need which you need to fulfill, but epic is more at the strategic level. So we
But yeah, I mean,
teach more.
in safe, like, do we have those separate ways to look at it, or we
Yes.
just consider? Okay, because I saw
No,
just
you have
features.
you have stories, you have features, you have epic. Epic is a significant significant development initiative which requires a significant budgeting, significant budget has to be allocated, significant development progress and significant strategic goals has to be achieved through those epics.
Okay, because
Not a
there is
collection of
one.
feature. Epic
Yeah,
is not a
there is
collection
one.
of feature.
Yeah, I mean, I saw one team in our organization where they just use feature. They don't have any epics, but they go with this PI planning and all, but they just use features to refer it. I mean, they don't have any epics and all. That's why I asked, like,
Because they don't know what is epic. If you follow lean portfolio management, or if you understand lean portfolio management, that is also one course we offer. If you go through lean portfolio management, you learn more about what is Epic. Epic is not a collection of features. Epic is a significant solution development initiative, which requires a significant budgeting effort. That is at the more at the strategic level of the organization.
Okay.
Then
Got it.
what is a feature?
Feature is which is something which fulfills a stakeholder need. For example, you're creating a product or solution. So some features are some part of the feature or the end feature which go into the product, which fulfills a stakeholder need.
Can we do the decomposing the feature? Like suppose
We
in the PI
decompose the
planning.
features into the stories. So
Okay.
epics are decomposed into the features are decomposed into the stories. And
And
stories are
what is
the
the capability?
smallest unit. Yeah.
Okay. What is the capabilities?
Capabilities is what when you are developing a solution where there is a multiple agile release trains are involved.
Hmm.
So there you at that time you define the capabilities.
Okay. In the PI
Work
planning,
across the different agile release train.
okay. In the PI planning, the product manager he is distribute the feature to the each Scrum team. Okay, like you take a two feature, you take a two feature. Again, the product owner decomposing user story in that PI planning or later in the team level or before already he is ready with all the
It
user
is it
story.
is better. See, in the PI planning, you have a very limited time. You have to just finalize the things. So, as a part
Hmm.
of the regular refinement, have those features and stories decomposed as much as possible. And the PI planning, you will just do the final touch. You have 2 3 hours only. You will just do the final touch.
In the practical, when I go to the break code session, okay, I'm RTA, you are a scrum master, I assigned to like you are one team, okay, I assigned to one feature, you went the break code session. In there I'm doing capacity planning, I need to match with my story and loading everything, okay. Meanwhile, developer going to be clarify the doubt in that break code session, or that what exactly going on remaining, what the developer are doing in that particular break code session.
See, most of the doubt they should be clarified during the refinement session only. Because if you go with refining the story during the breakout, then that is the anti-pattern. You have to finalize the things
No, no, no.
during the PI planning.
No, no, because once they're discussing in the record session only, they need to understanding the dependency risk, okay? Because of we have a lot of dependency. Otherwise, if we go to the team level after the PI planning done, we have a dependency this one, we have a risk level this one, okay? You are saying that we don't have that much time to
Discuss during the refinement also, discuss whatever extent possible, discuss during the refinement sessions also before the PI planning, and during the PI planning also discuss.
Oh, okay,
Discuss
fine.
when you learn more and you can talk to other teams at that time also discuss. But that
Okay,
window is very small. So as much as you prepare for the PI planning, it will help you in doing a prudent PI planning when you do the PI planning. Because time is limited
fine.
there.
Okay, fine. Got it, Raj. Thank you. I have one question. So suppose if last moment, end of the moment, fist five, okay. I'm a scrum master. My team is not be good with this. We went for one voting. Again, RT is going to convince me, or he's redoing the whole PI planning. I'm not convinced. I'm
See,
not be satisfied this
see,
PI
if
planning.
you're not convinced, you have to tell the reason why you are giving one. It is not just you give one and you go off. You have to
No,
tell why you are giving one. What is your concerns? What are your risks? What are your issues? What are your impediments? Why you are giving one? Then you have to tell that. Then your RT, then product management, and all will support you to increase those confidence level in you and how they can help you owning the risk or reducing the scope, clarifying the scope, adjusting the business priorities, adding more resources, giving help by the other teams. So there are many things which can be done. Then you will say, no, my confidence level is 4 now. So all those discussions should happen during the confidence mode. If the more planning is required, then do the planning, the extra planning.
okay, fine. And can you give me some example, like how the exactly the room? Can you practical example, like take one risk and how exactly resolved, how exactly won't. These are the things because of I don't know that much level
So see,
knowledge on
resolve
that.
is fine, right? I discussed the risk and it is already resolved. So there's no longer a concern. So resolved risk means it is already have been resolved.
Hmm.
When it comes to owning the risk, so you assign the risk owner, hey, this is this particular XYZ person or the product owner or this developer will own this risk and he is the risk owner. He is the responsibility to manage that risk. So that is owned. Accept risk is I can't do anything. If the risk happens, I have to accept the consequences. Nothing can be done. You identify this risk as a accepted category. Okay, for example, one key resource leave the company. What you can do? You have to accept it. You can't do anything. That is the acceptance of risk. But how you can mitigate it? You plan for the better knowledge management. All the team members learn something about each other's work. There is more synergy into the team. So if one resource is leaving, the other resource can pick up his work. That is mitigation of risk. So when I say acceptance of risk, I'm not doing anything. Resource will leave the company. Things will go out of my hand. I'm accepting the risk. If I say that I will do the knowledge transfer, I will work in the knowledge management, I will work in more working sessions where each member learns what others are doing. I'm doing the risk mitigation. I'm reducing the impact of the risk. Risk will still happen, but it will reduce the impact of the risk because other people know what they have to do. One of key resource is leaving the company. That is mitigation of risk.
Okay. And last
Raja,
question
I would
is
suggest, Raja, I would suggest we have got only 20 more minutes. You may want to show the PIplanning.io tool.
okay, sorry.
I would
Okay.
appreciate your question, but that tool is much more important. You may want to really experience it.
No problem. Sorry.
I think
Continue.
this discussion will go on. You can catch me offline also, but let's look at let's look at the tool. Okay, so this is how this tool looks. So as I told you, this tool is for the 4 iteration and 1 IP iteration. So if you can see here, are you able to read this or you want a bigger screen? Iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3, iteration 4, IP iteration.
Can you make bigger one, please?
So here, what you can do, these are all the stories and dependency and other things are created in this board already. So if I want to create a story, these are the iterations, okay? Iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3, iteration 4, IP iteration. Here is the area of risk. Here is the area where you can write the PI objective. So if I make it big and for example, if I have to create a user story in iteration 1, so I will right click, create a new sticky note, select a user story, and I should write the, for example, my story name or description is first one. So this is what I wrote. You can assign the owner to this story, whoever is the owner. And here you can do the estimation. For example, if I say 5 point, I can do the estimation here. You can put some sticky notes or some flags also if you want to highlight it. And here you can link it to some features. For example, if I want to add to this particular feature, so I can select this and it will link to that feature. I will show you that feature also. And meanwhile, what happens when I put the capacity here, I have put the capacity as 5 here. Here the load will change. So before that, what was that? For example, if I put 0, the load was 13 and capacity was 15. First, you have to enter the capacity. For example, I enter my capacity is 20 story points per iteration. And currently the load is 13. I added one user story. And the user story I estimated as 8. So the load become 21. 13 plus 8, 21. Now it is showing red. Here it is showing blue. It means load is not exceeding the capacity. Here the load is exceeding the capacity, so it is showing red. So this is why you can create the user stories here. And this is your team name, fulfillment team. This is your art name, ship IT, and this is your team board. Now, there are other things which I want to show you. This is your Rome board. You can create risk and show the resolved, own, mitigated, accepted risks. You can have create a new item, create a program risk, and here you can write the risk, whatever you want to write. If you want to link to some feature, here is the opportunity. You can link to some features here. And this is, you can create it accepted or mitigated or whatever this category, you can do that. This is very important. This is your dependency board. So this is the feature I have created, and I have linked to this particular dependency to this particular feature. So here you are seeing all the teams. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 teams here, and these are the iterations. So if a feature is staying here, that it means that fulfillment team has to complete this feature into the first iteration. If online chat support feature is there, it means API team has to complete this feature into the iteration 1. And these are the dependency. How to create that? You click on that, go to the create dependency, and I want to create a dependency with online chat. So this is a dependency created, just one. So this is how you can create the dependency and your dependency between the features or dependency itself, or there are other categories also. For example, if I want to create a new sticky note, so link dependency, enabler, feature, anything you can select and you can create in this board. This is PI objective. This is your art level PI objective. This is your team level PI objective. So if I add one objective, for example, I say RAM 1, 2, 3, and I will add it. It will show there into the board. See, this RAM 1, 2, 3 is showing here. And I can assign the business value also. If I assign the business value as 10, it will reflect there. See, it should the business value as 10. And whatever risk you will create, it will show into the risk section. And there's one more part of it where here you can write all the features. If you want to create a new feature, you can right click, create new sticky note. You can create feature enabler or link or whatever you want. Create a feature. Here you can give the name of the team which belongs to which feature. I select payment team. Here you can estimate the feature, or you can do the priority of the feature in WSJF. We have not discussed WSJF, but in the full PI planning class, full leading safe class or other safe class, we discussed WSJF. This is a prioritization technique. So for example, I say 5. 5 is my WSJF that I have put. And here you can link the stories to the feature. So you can add, and here you can select some enablers or some features that you want to link it to this feature that you can do. You can provide a description, some tagging you can provide. And that's way we'll make this feature. And if I want to have a story linked to it, I can go back. For example, ABC story is there. I want to link to the new feature which I have created. So I will add and I will say this feature I want to link my story. So there it will start showing. See, this is showing here as the stories. So this is stories are contained into this feature. This is a pretty handy feature. Any questions on this feature? In the PI planning, you can do many things with this feature.
I just have a question here in this slide, this dependency thing.
Mhm.
You have to manually link it from iteration to iteration. Or
No,
when
you have to just select it. You have to just select it. Okay, just select it. Go to these just measure this link option.
Okay,
Okay,
there.
add dependency and which feature you want to link.
Okay.
For example, priority shipping. I'll add to priority shipping. I will add to priority shipping also. See, priority shipping it is connected.
Okay. No, okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Any other question in this tool? It's a pretty simple tool. If you do the hands-on, there's a free trial also available. You can hands-on with a free trial in the piplanning.io. You can search into the Google piplanning.io and look at the tool, and free trial is there. I'm using the free trial only, and you can play around with play around with this tool. It's a very simple tool.
In this tool, iteration one, where can I see that loading capacity in this one story point?
Here you can see loading and capacity. Here you can see in this last one.
Oh.
That is for the dependency view.
Capacity
Here you can see the
20
capacity load.
Okay,
Capacity load.
Suppose if I capacity like 20, load is 21.
It will show
Okay,
that here.
then red only. Okay, got it.
Here it is showing blue. Number such as 14. Load is 14.
It means load always should be less than that capacity.
Or equal to capacity or less than capacity. If you want to keep some buffer, then you can keep some buffer or not more than capacity.
Absolutely fine. In this PI objective, last question. In this PI objective below that, okay, uncommitted, what we are maintaining, is it compulsory? We need to
if you really have, if you really want to put something for uncommitted, then put something for uncommitted. It is not necessary that something should go in uncommitted. It is not necessary. If you have full commitment, full confidence in your commitment, no need for putting anything in uncommitted.
Okay, fine.
This is for improving your predictability in delivery.
Okay, suppose if you early finish all the user story, then we can pick this uncommitted user story in the end of the iteration.
Even you can start from the beginning also, because you have considered the capacity. You have taken the capacity, so you can put the early spikes and start working on that. Maybe you reach to a position where you can deliver this, and you can say that it was uncommitted, but still you are delivering it because you have made it.
Okay, fine.
So you're delighting your customer actually by this way. Not committing and then you're saying that I have delivered.
All right, friends. Thanks, Raja, for a wonderful session on PI planning. I'm very sure this must have been very informative for us. This will be anyways recorded and the YouTube video will be shared with others as well. Thank you, Raja, once again. And for everyone else, have a great weekend.
Thanks, Anand. Thanks, Raja.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.